He walked into a luxury dealership wearing muddy boots and an old flannel shirt. And when he said he wanted to buy 7 brand-new pickup trucks, everyone burst out laughing. The salesman mocked him, the manager brushed him off, and they all thought he was just another poor laborer dreaming too big. But minutes later their smiles vanished. Because the simple man they just humiliated turned out to be a millionaire CEO, and what he did next destroyed their dealership's reputation forever. This is the story of how one man's quiet revenge taught an entire city $1 million lesson about respect. The glass door swung open. With a soft chime as a man in muddy work boots and a faded plaid shirt stepped into the pristine, air-conditioned dealership. The scent of polished leather and new paint filled the air. Around him, gleaming pickup trucks sat under bright lights. Spotless, shiny, expensive. The man looked out of place. His hands were rough, nails darkened with grease, and his face carried the tan of someone who worked long hours under the sun. He didn't look like the kind of customer the employees were used to. Most people who bought trucks here wore tailored suits or designer watches, not sun-faded caps and worn jeans. Still, the man smiled politely and walked up to the front desk. "Morning," he greeted the receptionist with a kind nod. "I'm looking to buy 7 pickup trucks." Her fingers froze on the keyboard. "So 7?" she repeated, unsure if she'd heard correctly. Before she could respond, a few salesmen nearby chuckled. One whispered to another, "7 trucks? Maybe he meant 7 toys." Another snickered, "Yeah, maybe he's lost. The used car lot's 2 blocks down." The man heard them. His smile didn't fade. He simply turned and looked at the trucks again, running a hand gently along the side of a brand-new model. "These are solid builds," he said, more to himself than anyone else. "Good for hauling equipment." But the laughter continued. One salesman decided to join in on the fun. "Sir," he said, pretending to be serious, "we'd love to help, but trucks like these start at about $50,000 apiece. You sure you're in the right place?" "I am," the man said calmly. "I need 7 of them, all the same model." The salesman smirked. 7 brand-new trucks. "Sure thing, boss. You paying with cash or dreams?" The group erupted in quiet laughter. The man looked each of them in the eye, one by one. Not with anger, but with quiet confidence. "Cash," he said softly. "Always cash." But they didn't believe him. To them, he was just another simple man. Maybe a construction worker or farmer dreaming above his means. What they didn't realize was that the person they were mocking wasn't just a dreamer. He was a man who owned dreams. And in just a few minutes, their laughter would turn into the most uncomfortable silence they'd. As the laughter faded into whispers, the man didn't flinch. He had heard this kind of mockery before. From bankers, from store owners, even from people who thought wealth could only be worn, not earned. He simply adjusted his cap and began walking around the gleaming showroom. He studied each truck with the kind of attention that only experience brings. He opened doors, checked interiors, tapped on the frames, and even crouched down to look underneath one of them. The salesman watched him with smirks, trading amused looks like children watching a comedy. One of them, a tall young man with slicked-back hair, finally stepped forward, trying to play along. "Sir," he said in a tone dripping with condescension, "maybe you'd like to look at our used section out back. We've got older models that are, more affordable." The man turned to him with a calm smile. "Used ones won't do," he replied. "I need 7 brand-new trucks, heavy-duty, full warranty. No compromises." The salesman blinked, caught off guard by the confidence in his tone. But before he could say anything, the dealership manager, a middle-aged man in a sharp gray suit, walked over. "Everything all right here?" he asked, glancing at the man's worn clothes before giving the salesman a knowing smirk. "Yes, sir," the salesman replied, grinning. "Just helping our friend here. He wants to buy 7 trucks." The manager raised an eyebrow, clearly amused. 7? "That's quite a fleet," he said. "Mind if I ask what for?" "Work," the man said simply. "My team needs them for transport." The manager folded his arms. "I see. Well, trucks like these aren't cheap. Maybe if you bring proof of income or some sort of deposit, we can start a quote for one or two." The man chuckled quietly, pulling out a worn leather wallet. It looked old, nothing fancy, but from it he slid out a platinum business card and held it up between two fingers. The laughter stopped. The silver letters gleamed under the lights. William Carter, CEO, Carter Construction Group. The manager's smirk vanished. His face drained of color. "Mr. Carter?" he stammered, recognizing the name immediately. A man whose company had just won a multi-million-dollar government contract. The room fell silent. The same salesmen who laughed moments ago now stood frozen, their arrogance dissolving into shame. And William simply smiled. "I told you," he said softly. "I'm buying 7. Experienced, the dealership had never been so quiet. The sound of engines humming outside, the soft tick of the showroom clock, even the air conditioner's low buzz, suddenly felt louder than words. Every eye was locked on the platinum business card that shimmered between William Carter's fingers. The manager swallowed hard, his confident tone completely gone. "Mr. Carter," he said, voice trembling. I had no idea you were with Carter Construction." William slipped the card back into his wallet, his expression calm but firm. "That's the thing," he said. "You shouldn't need to know someone's title to treat them with respect." The salesman exchanged nervous glances. The young man who had mocked him earlier looked pale, his earlier smirk wiped clean. "Sir, I'm really sorry," he stammered. "We didn't mean any offense," William interrupted, his tone steady. "Yes, you did. You thought I was beneath you. You judged me by my boots instead of my words. But I don't blame you," he said, pausing. "I blame the mindset that tells people respect should only be given to those who look rich." The manager stepped forward anxiously. "Please, Mr. Carter, we can fix this. Let's start over. You want 7 trucks? We'll make it happen. I'll personally give you a discount. Special fleet pricing, free services, whatever you need." William gave a small, tired smile. "You think it's about money?" he asked. "You just lost something far more valuable than a sale." The staff looked at each other helplessly. No one dared to speak. The silence felt heavier with each passing second. William turned toward the door, the sound of his boots echoing against the glossy tile floor. As he reached for the handle, he looked back one last time. "I came here ready to spend nearly $400,000, he said evenly. "But I've learned my money deserves to go where people are treated with dignity." The door opened, and the sunlight poured in. As he walked out, the reflection of his worn flannel, shirt and dusty jeans disappeared into the daylight, leaving behind 6 speechless employees and a manager who finally realized that arrogance had just cost them their biggest client. The laughter that once filled the room was replaced by something else entirely: regret. William stepped out of the fancy dealership and took a deep breath of the warm afternoon air. Behind him, the massive glass building shimmered in the sun, looking as cold and shallow as the people inside it. He smiled faintly and shook his head. "Some people never learn," he muttered to himself as he got into his old pickup truck, the same one he'd been driving for years. He wasn't angry. He'd faced pride and arrogance many times before, but he always believed life had a way of revealing people's true character. He started the engine and drove across town, through quieter streets, until he reached a small, family-run dealership on the edge of the city. The moment he stepped in, the difference was night and day. There were no polished marble floors, no giant screens, no forced smiles. Instead, a young woman with a warm expression greeted him immediately. "Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to Greenfield Motors. How can I help you today?" Her tone wasn't fake. It was genuine. William smiled. "I'm looking to buy 7 pickup trucks. Brand new. I need them for my company's construction fleet." The woman blinked in surprise but didn't laugh or hesitate. "7? That's wonderful. We'll have to check our stock and configurations. Do you have a preferred model or brand?" For the first time that day, William felt respected. They didn't see his clothes. They listened to his words. She called over the manager, an older gentleman with kind eyes and grease-stained hands. Within minutes, they were discussing specs, towing capacities, and warranties. The team treated him like any other customer, patiently, kindly, and professionally. After an hour of detailed discussion and test drives, William nodded in approval. "I'll take them," he said, signing the documents. Then, without a hint of hesitation, he handed over a certified check covering the full payment. More than $360,000. The young woman's eyes widened. "Sir, full payment?" William smiled. "You've earned it. You treated me with respect, not judgment. That's all I needed." 2 weeks later, the small dealership received a massive order from Carter Construction Group. Trucks, service contracts, and more. Their business doubled almost overnight. Meanwhile, across town, the luxury dealership that had laughed at him saw their reputation crumble after word spread. One act of arrogance had cost them millions, and a lesson they would never forget. A few weeks later, the story exploded online. And it all started with a single video. Someone from the first dealership had leaked the security footage showing the moment William Carter walked in, asked for 7 trucks, and got laughed at by the entire staff. The clip spread like wildfire. Within hours, social media was flooded with outrage. Comments poured in. "Never judge someone by their clothes." "Imagine losing $1 million deal because of your ego." "This man deserves all the respect in the world." News outlets picked it up, and the video appeared on morning shows, YouTube, and even business blogs. People were shocked not only by the arrogance of the dealership, but also by William's calm, dignified response. He hadn't yelled, insulted, or threatened. He simply walked away with quiet confidence. When reporters finally tracked him down for an interview, William stood by his truck, wearing the same flannel shirt and muddy boots. "I wasn't trying to make a point," he said with a smile. "I was just buying trucks for my company. But I guess life decided to make one for me." The journalist asked him what message he wanted people to take away from the story. William thought for a moment before replying, "Respect doesn't cost a thing, but it can earn you everything. And losing it, well, that can cost you more than you'll ever realize." His words resonated deeply across the internet. Business leaders shared his quote. Motivational pages reposted his story. The small family-run dealership that treated him with kindness was suddenly flooded with new customers. People wanted to buy from them, not just because of their products, but because of their integrity. Meanwhile, the first dealership struggled to recover. Their manager resigned, several employees were fired, and their reputation was permanently tarnished. No discount or apology could erase the damage. As for William, he went back to his quiet life, running his construction company, building homes, and creating jobs for ordinary people. He never bragged about the incident or used it for publicity, but every now and then, someone would recognize him on a job site and say, "You're that guy from the truck story, right?" He'd just smile and reply, "Nah, I'm just a simple man who believes in respect." And that's the truth that echoed far louder than any laughter ever could.